Four, three, two, one. Welcome to the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the Deferred Sales Trust is the best way for you to exit highly appreciated cryptocurrency, business, real estate, save a failed 1031 exchange, so you can create and preserve more wealth or help your clients, friends, or family do the same. Hey, I'm your host, Brett Swarts. In each episode, I'm joined by some of the best real estate, financial, crypto, and leadership minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. Hey, we're also streaming on Expert CRE Secrets as well. It's our YouTube channel and podcast for our commercial real estate enthusiasts out there and experts. We appreciate you tuning in here. Hey, I'm excited about our next guest. He is out of the great state of Indiana, and he is focused on all things multifamily syndication, helping people create and preserve more wealth who happen to be accredited investors and create some passive income and so much more. We're going to be geeking out about unlocking the power of tax reduction through commercial real estate syndication. Please welcome to the show with me, Eddie Austin. Eddie, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. Great intro. And I'm looking forward to it, man. This stuff's exciting. One of the best things, it seems, is just being able to help so many people, and especially when it comes to reducing your taxes, right?
You know, it's about tax flow, not just cash flow, Eddie, right? Most people are just
Right.
focused on that cash flow, but you got to figure out ways to make sure that you're reducing taxes.
Yes.
'Cause that's the number one expense that we all have
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to anything that we're doing. It's the taxes, okay? So how do we do that? We're going to tell you about how to do that. But before we get there, I want Eddie to tell us a little bit about his story. I had the pleasure of meeting Eddie in person at the Best Ever Conference in Colorado. It's a big multifamily syndication conference with Joe Fairless and his team. It was incredible. And Eddie and I were hanging out in the lobby talking and geeking out about the Deferred Sales Trust and what he does and how he helps people. And I said, Eddie, you're so smart, man. I got to make sure to get you on the show. So let's dive right in, Eddie. Tell us a little bit about your story and your current focus.
So we come from a very heavy industrial background, come out of factories. We started our own metal fabrication and hot rod business. My wife's a real estate broker, and we've always done the single family fix and flips in the background and the single family rentals. And, when it come down to it, you do a lot of work and you have some fun, but there ain't much time left after that. So we knew that selling everything off and getting into multifamily real estate and the power of using other people's money and creating amazing returns is a very needed space. And the more that we got into it, the more we could see that there was definitely room for a lot of, there's so many ways you can do this, and there's so many ways you can help other people with doing it.
I love it, love it, love it. And by the way, you can connect with Eddie Austin on all the social medias, including LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, by searching JE Capital IEV. That's JE Capital IEV. So, Eddie, before we dive into the topic of unlocking the power of tax reduction through commercial real estate syndication, I want to take one other step back. I believe we've all been given certain gifts in this life. These gifts have been given to us to be a blessing and help to others.
Yes.
Some people call them strengths, some people call them superpowers, but I want you to go back to maybe your high school days, all right? It's Southern Indian Andy days. You're in the backyard shooting those hoops, right? And you're going to high school, you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
And perhaps you're doing something else besides Indiana, and not everyone just plays basketball, right? However, I want you to think about that. Like, what are those one or two gifts that you believe you were given? And how does that help how you help and bless people today?
Right. So just a little bit of backstory. So I'm originally from West Palm Beach, Florida. After elementary school, I had a little bit of a rough time learning the way they wanted to learn. So at that time, I went into homeschool. Homeschool was a blessing because I got to expand in multiple ways and not by just traditional education. With that, I ended up taking 2 grades a year to graduate early and to get into vocational welding school and really expand into multiple areas. And it let me be around much older people that had that mindset of the people that built the country. And with that, I had lots of great mentors. And a lot of them taught me this, everything is possible. Just ask how it can be done. and then never give up. I'm not afraid of failure. I actually invite failure because every day, you live your life the best because you're not afraid to fail and you're afraid to expand and just keep going. Failure is not final. Just keep moving forward. Persist, to wear down the resistance, just keep going after it.
Love it.
You just keep getting up.
Love it. Perseverance. I'm hearing perseverance. I'm hearing maybe even thinking outside the box a little bit, and you learn that the gift of homeschooling, right? And the gift of being able to be around some amazing mentors at a young age.
Yes.
And that grit that helped you to build inside of your character. So love that. All right, great. Let's move right into the topic at hand. So help us to unlock the power of tax reductions through commercial real estate syndication. Eddie, what's the number one secret to doing that?
So short story before we get into this. And I think this will bring it all into focus. So we just recently had a guy come in the office wanting to do some other business ventures. And he's telling me about a group of people that own a lot of gas stations and own a lot of ATMs. So they're kind of in real estate in a different manner. Well, they made a bunch of money last year, and they got with their internal accountant, and their internal accountant says, hey, you need to go buy something. You need to go get rid of some of this money because this is going to be capital gains on your part. So they did so. And what they did is they went out and bought a tower that was dilapidated, collapsing. It was up for sale for $200,000, and they spent $400,000. They pretty well just overpaid. And it wasn't a situation that it was a bidding war. They just needed to get rid of that much money. So they just, bought $400,000 worth of real estate. And for me, that really hit home because I said, man, they bought a heavy liability. It is real estate, but it's a liability at the same time. They could have got a hold of us and we could have invested that into a cash flowing property. They still would have reduced their capital gains. They probably could have even got bonus depreciation, and they would have owned something that was worth owning, and they don't have to put work into, and they'd have got a check every single month off the preferred return. So that story just kind of hit me in the last couple of days, and that kind of provoked me to say, why don't people know more about what we do? Because that would have been the perfect opportunity. That's what we look for. We look for people that are so busy or maybe lack the education of where to put their money. And we're here to help with that.
Amazing. So it's a concept or a case study for tax flow, not just cash flow, although it should have been cash flow and tax flow. But basically these guys are selling, they have this big old, gain, and they're like, gosh, the talent's saying you need to go buy something to maybe do some cost segregation and accelerated depreciation so you can offset it in the same year. That's a fancy way of saying just you got to buy something that's going to help you tax flow to offset your cash flow and or your capital gains tax. And they buy something for $200,000 more than it's even worth, and there's not even a bidding war just to get some tax stuff. And it's crazy to think about that, but that's what's happening. Let alone all the liability, it's all on their shoulders, where they could have shown up and talked with Eddie, had they known Eddie, and said, Eddie, we got some cash. Do you have some nice cash flowing producing deals that you've already, that you're purchasing or you already have a fund perhaps? Walk us through how that looks like. Eddie, had they found you? Is there a deal that you already had ready to go? Was it a fund model? Walk us through that whole scenario.
So we are a 506c fund. And just to insert this, I doubt that even those operators they don't even probably know about cost segregation or bonus depreciation. So we would have educated them on that during that meeting to show them, hey, these are certain things that can be utilized. Many people don't know about. So, with us, we are always in the market looking for properties. We have a really good deal stream. And we also have other operators that call us up that just need equity. They need us to be the equity partner. So with our fund, we kind of do a blind raise. So we might raise $20 million and we'll deploy that into multiple assets. It might not be our deal 100%, but we may be investing with other operators as well. So it kind of makes it, we like to partner with people that have 600 to 1,000 units. that have good operating experience. They know the MSA very well, and they have their own property management or work with a good property management company. So have a safe bet in a good team when it comes down to it to invest in these multifamily assets. Now, traditionally, we're always looking for that Class B, Class C value add opportunity. Very similar structure to a lot of other operators. With that, we're also looking more toward distressed assets that can be, say they're in a Class B area and the property is maybe D minus because it's just been forgotten about, operators passed away, something of that sort. We're going to come in and completely renovate that property, bring it up to where the market needs it to be, and then bring partners in that can help operate that.
Amazing. That makes perfect sense. I love that. So it's a 506c fund, accredited investors, but either going to do the deals yourselves, B2C class, distressed assets, value add, right? Or you're going to invest with others who have that 600 to 1,000 units. Local experts have their own property management place, people that you can know, like, and trust.
Right.
Have their own or have a really good team in place. And the key is that helps you to diversify as well. Is that a fair summary so far, Eddie?
Yes, absolutely.
So walk us through the tax part of it now. So that, what happens? How do the people get these tax benefits?
So, say you have multiple businesses there, or one business is cash flowing quite a bit. Let's go for say an automotive shop. You got an operator in there. He's balancing his books. He's got an internal accountant, and he's making a bunch of money. He doesn't need any more equipment. And he's got a tremendous amount of cash flow that he necessarily don't have either, number one, the time to figure out where to put it in, or the education of where to put it. All he knows is his accountant is telling him, you got to get rid of something or buy something. You got to find a way to get this invested because you're going to pay taxes on it. So with us, that's where we come in, and we like to get with those type operators and say, hey, look, here's what we can do. You put this into a real estate syndication fund. We deploy that into a multifamily asset. And then, year one, we're going to do cost segregation. We're going to do kind of a rapid depreciation on certain assets to get that bonus depreciation. And we'll kind of kick that back. So you're going to be a limited partner in real estate, and you don't have to worry about operating it. You don't have to worry about the 3 T's, which is the toilets, tenants, and termites. You don't have to worry about that. We do, or we have a property management company that does. So it gives you an opportunity to take your money and put it with an operator or a fund that allows you, that give you a bonus depreciation kickback, and it's on your schedule that you own real estate as a limited partner.
It's amazing, right? The government gives these tax incentives to do the things that they're not very good at doing, right? So the tax code is just created. They can't force Eddie or Brett or you or me to go and build multifamily properties, but they can incentivize us through investment and or buy investment properties and renovate and make it nicer, right? Improve the property and improve the grounds and improve the area. All of those things that are housing related that are very, very crucial to society, but they can give tax incentives to encourage us to do certain things, certain actions. And part of that is depreciation. It's one of the best ways to grow wealth. It's one of the foundations for commercial real estate investing. Got it. So investor says, Brett, Eddie, I got an extra 100,000, 200,000. My accountant's telling me it's going to burn a hole in my pocket with the taxes. I can put in Eddie's fund. Eddie's going to deploy the capital into some value add multifamily deals or something of the like with himself or with some partners. It's going to kick back and perhaps pay zero tax on that. Is that a fair summary? Yes, absolutely. Very, very cool. Okay, so then let's shift a little bit. That's pretty straightforward. Let's shift a little bit into some of the deals that you're seeing right now, some of the cap rates, some of the competitive nature of what's going on, and where what are you finding? What's kind of your pulse on the multifamily market right now? So over the last 150 years, multifamily, large commercial has just done what it's done. That's why we feel it's such a safe place to be. Now with COVID and so
the study was done after 150 years. It's been doing the same thing. It just does what it does. It appreciates. It's needed more every day. Housing is a shortage. So the last 3 or 4 years, it's done something different. It's never done. We've seen new things. We've definitely seen cap rate compression. And even now we evaluate probably between 5 to 20 deals a day. So we see the market changing rapidly almost every month. The cap rates are moving around. Sub markets are becoming prime markets. It's interesting to see where it's going. And it's very fun to be in the environment to see what's going on, where it's going, and try and take a very good educated guess on what we should do next. I know we opened the first fund in May of 2021. We had thought that the best time was going to be right now. And that was kind of before COVID really took over. And we were looking at a post 2008 through 10, something similar to that. So we were going to buy properties cheap. People were going to need a place to put their money. Stock markets weren't going to be doing good. We weren't going to have very safe other investment models. So where's a safe place to put your money? With us, with real estate. So I was a little wrong. I was expecting property values to come down. I did not anticipate people printing money like crazy. And they did. And that actually created a forced appreciation on assets. So asset values went up, cap rates come down, cap rates got compressed. And now here we are today. So finally, we are starting to see that stock market downtrend. I think crypto's kind of an up and down. I'm not a crypto guy. I'm 100% real estate person. I don't invest in any other models. And that's all I preach is the real estate investing. So for us, we're thinking more in the Dallas, Fort Worth area, the Oklahoma cities. And we're looking for assets that are outside those hot markets. You're going to pay 150 to 200 a door for Dallas all day long. There's not a whole lot of meat on the bone for syndicating a property there. The returns are much lower. But what we have found is moving outside to them sub-tertiary markets that kind of that green space is growing to, and buying something in, say, Arlington or something like that, that is a short commute to the Dallas. So if you had a job in Dallas, you're happy to live somewhere where it's a little bit slower, not as much traffic, good restaurants around you, and we're going to pay less per door. And we can approve that asset to where when the green space comes our way, we can sell that. We've got a really good appreciation over those years to ownership.
So good, Eddie. So good. I love multifamily. I grew up in the real estate business, a multifamily broker by trade, a multifamily investor, and all of these things. It's true. If any place that you'd rather have your money, to me, it's multifamily.
Yep.
It's mobile home parks, and
Yep.
it's senior housing, assisted living facilities. Right now, the key is not just owning those, but having the team to execute the business plan, right, in local markets that make sense. So it's more than that's part of why you partner and you invest with experts, right, in those fields. And so I like all of those things. That makes sense. So can you give us kind of an average return that you're seeing right now for some of these deals, and what, over 3 to 5 years, if someone puts 100,000 in, what might somebody expect on potentially on an exit in 3 to 5 years on a $100,000 investment?
Yeah. So what we do is because we do blind raises, we have targets or key performance indicators that we're looking at. So every asset needs to fit a certain criteria. That criteria being a 15% IRR minimum to at least a 20% IRR. And then we're looking for, 160 to 230% ROI collectively. And we're also looking for 1.9 to 2.5 on the equity multiplier. Some of these value adds, we've even seen up to a 3x multiple in the first 3 years. Those are heavy lift. There are definitely a lot of construction going on. So the property be down the first year, most likely, zero cash flow. But first 2 years coming on, it's a 3x multiple. So we're really looking for that.
I love that. So let's shift into the capital gains tax portion of that, right? Because it's one thing to find the asset, get that, 1.9 to 3x multiple, but it's another thing to have to now potentially suffer the consequences of capital gains tax, right? And sometimes you can do that 1031 exchange, and perhaps you can't with the fund, or the whole entity must move. But I'm curious, what's your biggest frustration when it comes to the 1031 exchange?
I think a lot of frustrations we've been involved in is that timing of how fast you need to deploy it. So a lot of operators that I've dealt with, it's kind of it's very hard to put a 1031 into a fund model. I wish it was much easier, but there's a lot of there's a lot of things that have to be checked off. Borderline, takes a lot of legal experience to make it happen. So I wish that was a more streamlined to get a 1031 into a fund, because I know a lot of operators that sold their properties, and they either sold a property that was cash flowing so well they shouldn't have sold it, but they did it because the market was so hot, and they've nearly ran out of time on that 1031 because they could not find an asset that was even subprime better than what they had. So that timing, I think, is one of the biggest downfalls of the 1031 in today's cap rate compressed market. And the general assets that's for sale, there's, some of them barely cash flow with debt. So you almost have to be 100% cash buyer. Being a cash buyer, you need to put debt on it right away to get that depreciation schedule. If you own it with cash, you're missing some tax advantages.
You got it. And I call it the shotgun wedding, right? You get engaged in 45 days, you got to get married in 180. And oftentimes you're overpaying for a property that perhaps you wouldn't have bought if it wasn't for the tax liability that's about to burn a hole in your pocket there. And so we have a solution for that. It's called the Deferred Sales Trust. In fact, that's why we started the company, to give people an option beyond the 1031 exchange, and to think in an innovative, I call it the Netflix way of exit planning versus just 1031 blockbuster. And the cool thing, though, is you mentioned you're not a crypto person, and that's cool. Totally cool, right? You're investing in your space, but there's a lot of crypto people out there that want to exit crypto. And so we just did a $5 million deal where she had bought crypto for 50,000, and she went to 50 million. And so you have this really big gain, Eddie, and they exited the 5 million into the trust and then invested it into a business venture, but it could have easily have been a real estate business venture. It happened to be a startup tech company, all tax deferred, right? And so the power of that, and my point of that is, if you could help the crypto people invest into commercial real estate, or even like a fund like yours, right? All tax deferred. I'd love to do that. Talk about the power of that, Eddie.
Right. So that would be something that I would need to learn quite a bit about. And I think that's one of the coolest things I love about the real estate and multifamily is the amount of people that have experience in other ways and are happy to help or educate you. And it all works together. It's a great big team in the end of the day.
Eddie, everything is possible. You just have to ask, how can it be done, right?
Exactly.
And so people can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. You can look at the Deferred Sales Trust. By the way, we're coming out with our new book. It's Building a Tax Deferred Exit Strategy, and it's the proven playbook for unlocking your ideal wealth plan when selling assets of any kind for yourself or your clients. We have a person named Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank who will be in the book. It's just pretty cool, and you can learn more about that by going to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. We also have our new mastermind. It's not really new. It's been going on for a while, but it's our crypto DST Mastermind, and it's all about how to exit cryptocurrency, go into investment real estate, to go into some securities, get some diversification, and do this at what's called optimal timing, like Netflix, right? You can do it whenever you want, versus the old blockbuster way, which is 1031, which, by the way, doesn't work for anything except for investment real estate. It doesn't work for primary homes or business sales or crypto or stock or private equity or captive insurance. It doesn't work for any of those, whereas the Deferred Sales Trust works for all of those. And then you can go into real estate, passive or active. Again, go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. That being said, Eddie, we're running out of time. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Yes.
All right. Knowing what you know now, if you go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget you make sure to tell yourself to do?
My nugget was always retire by 40 to get my time back. So I focused hardcore on that. I did it by 36. But one golden nugget, get out of the W-2, get away from it. What are you capable of if you didn't have a job?
Absolutely love it. Be an entrepreneur. Burn the ships, baby. Run, and be an entrepreneur. Number 2, what's your favorite book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
I would say Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then probably the 10X Rule.
Love it.
Any of Grant's sales books. To be good at what we're doing today, you need to be good at marketing as well and in sales. You got to know, people are not investing in the assets, they're investing in Eddie Austin. So you have to be a very good representative of that.
Fantastic. By the way, connect with Eddie Austin on all social medias by going to JE Capital IEV. That's JE Capital IEV. Just search that, and you'll find that on all LinkedIn social medias. Next question. What are you most curious about right now?
What's that?
What are you most curious about right now?
Curious? I'd have to go with the crypto thing. I'll tell you why. Because we do so much marketing, we get people that approach us about investing in crypto constantly. I mean, they're wolves about it. And I like to play with it a little bit, but I end up getting annoyed because they're very single-sided with that, not to be offensive in any way. But I always say, no, I don't invest in crypto because for me, it is not real. It's not real estate. It has no ways for tax diversion, and it has no address. So why would I invest in something that I don't know where it is? Number 2, I don't understand it, and it has no tax depreciation. So it's completely a no for me. And I always get people that say, well, you got to be diversified. And I said, I am. I own Class A, Class B, and Class C. And in other markets, that's our diversification. But it's all multifamily. And I think what they get mixed up is the, I think to be really, really good at something, you have to be laser focused on it. So you're 100% with capital gains. And then if you wanted to know all about multifamily or a fund model, hopefully you would ask someone like in what's our space. But that's all we focus on, and that's all you focus on. So crypto, I'm not willing to learn about that model because I don't see any benefits to it.
Well, you nailed it, right? I think that's so key here. Having the expert or the dream team, right? Mm-hmm. And the dream team is bringing in each expert. I think it was Henry Ford. He had a phone. And he had a one of those little notebooks with all the numbers, and he didn't need to have the answer. He just had to have the phone number for the person who had the answer, right? And so that is what we look for too in the strategic alliances that we operate with. We want experts. We don't want generalists, right? We want those who are deep diving into the cryptocurrency world, into the multifamily world, into the industrial space, into the mobile home park space, into parking lots, into senior housing, assisted living, right? And then multiple operators from different geographical locations who have the local expertise as well. But then the cool things with the Deferred Sales Trust, which I love about this, right? It's going to help you connect with these people and add value because taxation is the deferral, is the chasm between you and them a lot of times, right? Because people want to invest into the real estate deals or the funds, but they don't want to get hammered with the tax. So we did another deal. This one was a Ethereum sale, and they bought it for $100,000, Eddie, and it went to $13 million. Okay, 100,000 to 13 million. Okay, wow. And so they're living in California. They're working their W-2 jobs. Okay, or he is, and she's an attorney. But 2 kids. They want their time and freedom back. They're in their mid-40s, right? And they're like, gosh, we're millionaires, but they went through this roller coaster cycle of like highs and lows. And they're just like, we want to diversify. We want to get some liquidity, but we have this tax, multiple millions of dollars of tax. And so in 1 hour and 1 day, we call this our Roger Bannister moment. If you heard about that story where he runs the 4-minute mile, he goes at 3:59, right? No one thought it was possible.
Until it was done.
We did it with the crypto. We did it. We exited $5 million in 1 hour, deferred about $1.85 million of tax. He liked it so much that 2.5 months later, Ethereum hit another high, and he exited $2.5 million. So now there's $7.5 million with one highly accredited investor, and now we had to put some time in and energy to educate him up front. But that's really cool, right? And the other client, she has $45 million that maybe goes to, $60 or $70 million. So anyways, if anyone wants to learn about that, how crypto millionaires can defer capital gains tax and how to defer capital gains tax on the sale of Bitcoin, you can check out the Deferred Sales Trust by going to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com, capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Hey, we are out of time, Eddie. For our listeners who want to get in touch with you, would you remind them one last time, what's the best place for them to find you?
LinkedIn on Eddie Austin. You can find us on Instagram, IG. That would be JE Capital INV. You can find us on Facebook by my name. You can find my old YouTube channel, Eddie Austin, on YouTube, and actually JE Capital on YouTube as well. We are starting our own podcast here soon. And if I can make the time, I will be writing a book this year called How to Retire by 40, some way, shape, or form, because I feel that's important to get out of that W-2. And one last thing, anybody that understands business, I think probably one of the best business books is Good to Great by John Collins. That book right there is how to put the right people on the bus in the right places. And anyone that's currently in business wanting to scale, I think that's probably one of the best books that I've read recently.
Amazing. Eddie Austin, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for sharing your gifts with us. Thank you for helping us to remember that everything is possible. You just got to ask the right questions and have lots of perseverance. Appreciate you. And also want to thank our listeners for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. As always, we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options, and not having a clear plan is the enemy. And using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the Deferred Sales Trust is the best way for you to exit highly appreciated crypto, business, real estate, save a 1031 exchange so you can defer millions of tax and create and preserve more wealth, or help your clients, friends, or families do the same. Go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to check that out. You can also join our free crypto DST Mastermind every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern, by going to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com and registering for free. Check out our new book that's coming out soon. Again, Building a Tax Deferred Exit Strategy, the proven playbook for unlocking your ideal wealth plan when selling assets of any kind for yourself or your clients. I'm Brett Swarts, and I so appreciate everyone out there